what's up? This is Odolena from Odolena Digital. Welcome to my channel and be sure to subscribe. Every Sunday there is a new video here on some of my favorite topics, and especially book reviews. Today I'm talking about a very interesting book which I picked up recently. It's called A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy by William Irvine. This book was recommended by someone from my company who is a very big fan of Stoicism and in ancient philosophy, and I had a look at it. It was actually one of the best reads that I've had so far this year. I read quite a few books this year, and this one is actually very good. So this book is written by a philosopher, someone who teaches philosophy in university, professor in philosophy at the Wright State University of Dayton in the United States, and he is also practicing Stoic. So the book is kind of like a guide for someone who would like to practice Stoicism today, and it is clearing a lot of doubts and misunderstanding about Stoic philosophy. Last year I did a couple of videos around philosophy of Stoicism, and although most of them were very well accepted, I still saw that a lot of people misunderstand what Stoicism is about and kind of claim it as an old-fashioned, very grumpy and kind of like not well thought even philosophy. So here, this video is for you guys. So he starts by comparing what it means to teach philosophy today and what it means to teach philosophy in the past. So in the past, when you want to become a Stoic, there are Stoic schools, plus there are other schools. There is Cynic school, there is a school of the Epicureans, of hedonists, all the different schools. They have groups of philosophies, and people actually sometimes even living together and meeting together on a regular basis, and there they teach you how to be a Stoic. So they don't teach you about the theory, what you would get now in university. You might study philosophy in university and they will teach you step by step. You will read all the resources, all the information, but you will study philosophy as an object. Whereas in the past, you would go to a school in order to teach you how to live your life. So when you are Stoic, it's not that you are a scholar, that you're studying the art of philosophy. You have to live through this philosophy. This should be part of your life. There is not exactly such equivalent today, and this is why a lot of people, majority of people, actually live a life by default philosophy. And the default philosophy is kind of wanting specific things, usually material things, and once we get them, we want more different things. Or even for people who have a very detailed list of goals, many times these goals might be, I want to have this job, I want to have this amount of money, I want to have this house, I want to have this kind of family. But very rarely people have a goal on how to live their life or have a goal about peace of mind or the type of thoughts that they're gonna have. And this is exactly the goals that ancient Stoics and also other schools of philosophy, they all had similar goals, but they would have different methods of achieving it. But the main goal was actually tranquility, or living your life in the best way that you can, kind of feeling fulfilled, happy, tranquil during your lifetime, and meeting the challenges and everything that life serves you with a philosophy. So something that we lack right now, and whenever something strange happens in our life, our default reaction can be something that we have seen on cinema or something that we have seen on other people doing, but it's not according to our personal philosophy, because most people don't have one to start with. When it comes to practicing Stoicism, some people think that this is about rejecting the joy of life and being angry and being kind of unhappy all the time. And there is nothing far from the truth. When it comes to Stoicism, actually, when we look at a lot of the Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, who was one of the Roman emperors, one of the most successful Roman emperors, and many others as well, they have a very fulfilled, very rounded life with a lot of earthly achievements. Some of them were very wealthy, very powerful, And a lot of success, let's say, in the context that we have right now, even though that was not their main goal. And here is the paradox: because Stoics have a philosophy which kind of helps them to go through difficulties in life, to have consistency, to have discipline, this essentially leads them through leading positions in life, even though this might not be their goal. Also, the joy of life is something different than what we imagine. We imagine the joy of life of something that we get and then we are joyous. I'm gonna have this cake and then I'm going to be happy. I'm going to go to vacation and then I'm going to be happy. Whereas for Stoics is about appreciating everything that's happening in your life, including the bad things, including the tragedies, appreciating and enjoying every single day of your life as if it is your last. So here they practice something like practicing poverty, for example, or practicing what happens if, let's say, I don't have all the luxuries that I have access to right now. And in a way, enlarging your comfort zone so that once things are getting out of comfort, you are able to feel well in this new environment. For example, this could mean, let's say, switching off the heating or taking a cold shower from time to time, or quitting on some foods, let's say some expensive, high quality foods, like having a little bit more simple food for some period of time, just to be able to feel that you can live without this. It doesn't mean whether you can afford it or not, but you can live without this. Even if you can afford the most luxurious thing ever, you can live without this. You're free. You start to appreciate the simple things. You start to appreciate the fact that you have enough food, the fact that you can be satisfied with less, and that you are not a slave of the things that you own or of the luxuries of life. Stoics have a saying that luxury corrupts, and values, people with corrupt value are contagious. So you have to avoid people with this kind of values, people who are focusing on the material stuff and, let's say, value this more than everything else. You have to be able to focus your energy on more productive things, like being useful to society, rather than chasing material things, which once you get, you are unhappy again and you want something else immediately after. Another practice for Stoicism is called negative visualization. So negative visualization means that you are imagining what would be the worst case. Imagine what will happen if you lose your closest one, if you lose your health, if you lose your job, if you are unable to earn any money. What if there is a war in your country and your property is destroyed? What if you lose everything that you have? And you might be thinking, what is the purpose of this horrible stories? Like, I thought that this is about tranquility. But here is the point. Once you think through these kind of stories and once you imagine how much more miserable your life could be, you quickly become to appreciate and to understand how much you have been given and how lucky you are in every sense of your life. And this can work pretty much in any stage of life where you are, from the richest to the poorest. You will be able to find something that you are grateful for. Another practice for Stoics is bucketing things into 3 groups. So the things that you can control fully, the things that you can partially control, and the things that you cannot control at all. What are you worrying about? Is this something that you can control? If it's not, why are you spending time on worries? And this type of bucketing of things, when you think about it, is something that gives you immediate tranquility. And when practiced often, it helps you to relax your mind and to focus on really the things that you can control. And you'll realize that there are a lot of things that you can control, a lot of things that you can do right now to feel better, instead of focusing on all the things that are completely out of your hands. Let's say if I sit down and worry about the pandemic and about opening of airports and traveling and that kind of things, this is not going to help me much because this is outside of my control. But I can focus on other things, how to get smarter, how to read more books, how to be more tranquil, focus on my philosophy, These are things that I can control. And finally, when it comes to dealing with people, Stoicism has a very clear strategy. First, there is a bunch of people that you like to avoid as much as possible. So spending time with people who gossip a lot, who just talk about others, people who have like pointless conversations like about gladiators and races in the example of the ancient Stoics, but you know the equivalent of today. People who are just spending their time and talking about mindless topics. Where you cannot have a serious conversation. When you mention Stoicism, that they're gonna laugh at you. So you want to minimize your time with these type of people. Also, you have to avoid people who have corrupt values. So when it comes to values, Stoicism is very, very specific. You have to focus on, let's say, the values that are suitable for a philosopher and for a Stoic. Values like tranquility, like joy of life, values like being useful and being good citizen, being useful to society. Well, everything else, kind of the corrupting values like material success, like fame, owning specific objects, these are all kind of like a mirage. They are something that you can keep chasing all your life and never be satisfied with. You might achieve them along the way, but this is not your goal. And when this is not your goal, it might be the case that you achieve them easily and you don't attach too much value on them. So, because these are also things that you can lose easily, once you lose them, you don't feel a big loss. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel and I'll be back with a new video next week.